Hello and welcome to another Radio Times Doctor Who review. I'm Paul Jones.
And I'm Kimberly Bond.
And today we're going to be talking about Series 11, Episode 5, the Tsuranga Conundrum. I couldn't remember if it was Conundrum or Complex for a minute there. So yes, we've got, it's the first proper sci-fi episode of the series, which I'm very excited about. I kind of felt like those episodes have been great up until now, but I just need it. They've been based kind of quite real world.
Yeah.
And to just get back on a spaceship with kind of white gleaming surfaces and computers and stuff, that really worked for me. What did you think, Kim?
I loved how it was kind of a bit more like, I mean, I'm quite young, so it was like the Doctor Who I kind of grew up with. So like with Christopher Eccleston, when it was a bit more like really sci-fi, and like you said, they were on a spaceship. It was like, you know, really kind of techie in the sense that it was like loads of screens, and like maybe I'm just easily impressed, I don't know. But I just thought it was really great that it was like a bit more of a return to like that kind of funny, quirky, sci-fi-esque. I mean, it's always sci-fi, it's Doctor Who, obviously. But like,
no, I know what you mean. It's like being on a spaceship is proper sci-fi, isn't it? It's like you're in space, you're on a spaceship. This is core Doctor Who, solid sci-fi sort of stuff. This is what we want. From time to time, at least. You need those episodes, I think. And we got a new monster.
Yes,
is it a monster?
we did.
I don't know whether to call it a monster or not, but a new creature, Pting, who is quite cute, I suppose, and completely deadly. Poisonous skin, eats spaceships, basically. But I thought it was a really good new creature, and it was sort of interesting how the Doctor talks about its motivation, you know, not being to get people, just doing its thing, right?
It was nice how
just doing its thing.
It wasn't like inherently evil. It was just, you know, hungry, and I think that's what we can all identify with. That we just want to eat.
Sometimes you seem inherently evil when you're really starving, don't you? Kind of thing. We've all been there.
I kind of thought that it reminded me of Nibbler from Futurama, this tiny, cute little thing that's actually full of like, actually really quite powerful. So it was nice that it was something a bit more like monstery, because like the last few episodes it's been like things that we're more used to. So like obviously last week was spiders, and the week before was the Rosa Parks episode. So it was nice to go back again, like we said, to the sci-fi roots, and even something really cute.
Even episode 2, kind of, although it was sci-fi, it wasn't on another planet sort of thing, and we were in a spaceship for a minute. It wasn't kind of like slick white spaceship, and it was just a desert basically in South Africa, wasn't it? So it's terrible knowing being looking behind the curtain, and it spoils everything. What was I going to say about Pting? Oh yes, well you were saying that it reminds you of Nibbler, which I totally get. Yeah. There was a scene that, for some reason, I'm seeing 80s movie references in like every episode of Doctor Who this series. I wrote about why Rosa Parks was like Back to the Future. There was a Ghostbusters one earlier, I think. This reminded me of, you're probably too young to know the Twilight Zone, the movie.
Yes, I am.
But there's one with a gremlin, and it's basically, it's tearing apart the engine of a plane. It's out on the wing, and it's sort of doing this chucking things, isn't it? Like, and there was a bit where we first see Pting, really reminded me of that actually. So that's my my little addition to that. So another thing that we've kind of seen, which has been quite nice, I think, is the sort of developing relationship between Ryan and his granddad, who he doesn't really want to call his granddad, but Graham. And he's been very standoffish for a while, but they are kind of slowly becoming closer, aren't they?
Yeah.
And there was a nice.
There was a lot of like character development, I feel, here with Ryan, because we don't, from what we've seen so far, like it's a bit, we don't really get a lot of Ryan. I feel that his relationship is kind of with Graham has opened up a lot more, especially when he talks to Yaz about his father not always being there, so maybe kind of like Graham maybe stepping in for him for that. And it was nice to like another side of Ryan, and that whole kind of fatherhood kind of theme that ran through the episode with the pregnant man, and how Ryan was just like, you don't have to be good, you just have to be there or something. And it was just really, I found that really tender and really sweet.
And it's been good this series, hasn't it? You want to kind of make sure it doesn't become too telegraphs and too sort of teachy, but it's been good in kind of like drawing parallels with things that teach the characters things about their own lives, doesn't it? And we had this guy, a man, pregnant, about to give birth, wasn't sure, you know, whether he wanted it, kind of thing. But they used that to show Ryan how his dad might have felt when he, at the same age as Ryan was now as well, you know, suddenly found himself with a baby, kind of thing, and or, you know, why he might have sort of run off, kind of thing. And I think he kind of understood that, didn't he, Ryan? So it was good.
And it was nice how, like, when I first saw that there was going to be like a team of companions this time around, that I just thought, oh, they're not going to have the same kind of development as a solo companion, you know, like Rose and like forgotten all the companions just then, like Rose and
oh no, sorry, old companions, sorry,
the old ones.
I was just thinking about Yaz because I've got a thing to say about Yaz in a minute, but yeah, no,
like
Clara,
Clara, and you know, like Bill and stuff. Like, we got to know them quite well, but when I thought there was going to be 3, I was like, are we going to see that same development? And we are, which is really great that they're managing to do that.
I know what you mean, and it kind of, yeah, and it will take longer. For me, actually, the one, it's like they've tried to do these set pieces which sort of service each of the characters, but I thought, even though last episode was sort of, you met Yaz's family and you went to her flat for tea and stuff, I still don't feel like I know Yaz very well.
No, I
feel like almost I know Ryan a bit more than I know Yaz.
I feel like with Yaz, like there has been like a few missed opportunities with the character so far, because she is a policewoman and you don't always see that kind of, she must have some kind of like a fiercer side to her. And whilst it's kind of hinted at, like in last week's episode, like she could have really owned Chris Noth, I think, personally. She didn't.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and I feel that, like, hopefully in next week's episode, which is about Yaz going back to 1947 India, we'll see more of her and get to see that character's development the other 2 characters have got so far.
Cool. But you're a big fan of another companion, so am I. Bradley Walsh's Graham. I mean, first, a lot of people who had seen him in stuff before knew he was a great actor, but for a lot of people he's been a revelation, and he really is brilliant, isn't he? I
love Graham, I'm going to say it. I just love him. I think he's brilliant. Like, when I first saw that Bradley Walsh had been cast, I was just kind of like, what? I mean, if you're watching Bradley, no offence, but I just kind of thought he wasn't going to be that good, because he was a bit older and he was already established, whilst other companions,
How could an old person be good? No, I find that personally offensive, Kim.
I just thought
that,
like, I actually don't, but
well,
that's another conversation.
I've probably kept that secret for a reason. It's a very big number. Anyway, sorry.
It's just that I thought that he'd be a bit more, I don't know, I just had all these preconceptions in my head that he'd be a bit not very good. But I'm so, like, taken aback by how amazing he actually is. Like, of course, he's funny and we all expected him to be able to deliver a good one-liner, but he's been able to deliver really emotional scenes and emotional lines in his own right, and he's like my favourite companion, I'd say.
He's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
What, you mean ever or now? No.
For now.
For now,
yes.
Yeah. Well, no, completely. I totally agree. I mean, he's fantastic. He does a brilliant, subtle little things with just an expression, doesn't he?
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I don't know. You know, Chris Chibnall knew he was a good actor because he'd worked with Chris Chibnall on Law and Order UK, so he knows what he's doing. The guy running the show knows what he's doing. But yes, I agree. He's brilliant. And what else were we going to talk about? We're going to talk about one of the things that I think we both thought was quite good was that people die in this episode.
Yeah.
And people die much. So when you get new guest stars, kind of reasonably, you know, not massively famous people, but names and faces that you know, like was it Ben Goldstein, Brett Goldstein, who plays Astos.
Yes.
When that actors come in, you're sort of like, well, this guy's going to be with us through the whole story. They've come in to do Doctor Who, and when they get killed within 10 minutes.
I was gutted about that because I liked him. He just, within 10 minutes he was just gone, and he's worked with Jodie Whittaker before because he was in her film. I cannot remember
forget the title of it as well.
Which isn't great, but yeah, no, she's like obviously worked with him before, and for him to be killed off so quickly was a bit of, I was taken aback by that.
But that's great, isn't it? Because that's like it wrong foots you. It's kind of like you can't assume too much kind of thing, and I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that Chris Chibnall is a cold-hearted killer and can just kill off any characters whenever he wants to, really, which is good because we're always like kept on our feet.
Well, he's had practice on Broadchurch and other things. Yeah, he can kill. So I don't know. In summary, a good episode. What sort of how are you rating this? Don't have to give it a star rating, but like, how good was it?
I would say, I mean, you don't have. You said I didn't have to give it a star rating. I'm going to say
but
4 stars.
Give it a star rating. Yeah,
because
4.
it was just, you know, for me, it was like a fun space romp. Whilst like last week it was like, I'm sorry, I have to admit, I had to turn off in the middle because I hate spiders. But like this one, it was a lot more sci-fi. They're on a spaceship. It was a lot more like, I think, it kind of like had struck the right tone between like comedic and then also quite, you know, tender.
There's some quite touching moments, weren't there? And I thought actually Jodie Whittaker, there were some good moments with her because she seemed genuinely worried at times because the whole ship was under a threat. It was going to be blown up because of the Pting, which is no one wants coming anywhere near their planet. And she seemed properly shaken at times, and kind of I thought I mean, in a way, you don't want the Doctor to go too far down that route.
No.
Because the Doctor needs to be the one who is always going to be able to sort things out. But I thought she, played it really well. So yeah, I'm going to give it 3.5. Because I really needed it. Well, yeah, but there are some brilliant episodes out there in the history of Doctor Who that need to have 5 stars. I'm going to say 3.5 if you can do halves. But yeah, nice to be back with a proper sci-fi edition of Doctor Who. But then we're going back to history again next week. So we will see you next week to discuss it. Maybe me and Kim, maybe some other random people from RadioTimes.com. But we will be discussing Doctor Who and the Partition of India episode next week. Until then, have a great weekend. No, the weekend will be over.
Have a great week.